cameras on the International Space Station of Typhoon Bongfang out over the western Pacific, headed toward Japan right now. The latest numbers show a large 25-mile diameter eye moving about 5 to 10 knots or so. To 10 knots or so. To 10 knots or so. And those views from the external cameras of the station again of Typhoon Bongfang. It's actually expected to move into a little bit cooler waters by Friday, headed into the weekend as it approaches the coast of Japan. And obviously the hope is that will weaken that storm somewhat before landfall. 10 knots or so. Earth observation obviously is one of the big items used from the external cameras of the station, and obviously, but it's also definitely it's actually some usefulness, and obviously the crew is sending messages periodically. This is another weekend interesting view of the coast of Japan region. There's a panorama taken by astronauts actually from the expedition 40, because this is back in August, that storm showing somewhat before of a major storm that's obscuring the Gulf and its northern shoreline. Some of the strong northern winds that blow in the summer in the Persian Gulf region obviously is one of the big items used from the exocrine controls of the station, obviously, but it's also some use and obviously waters sending messages periodically. This is another weekend interesting view of the Persian Gulf region along those panoramas taken by astronauts arriving from the obviously business line of other storm that is actually being by some major storm that's obscuring the Gulf and its northern shoreline. In this view casts some of the strong northern shadows from some of those thunderheads in the summer, and the astronauts obviously see 16 sunsets the external demonstrates that it's also actually captured some views messages periodically. This is one of those which is astronauts arriving at HCQ business that's obscuring the Gulf and its northern shoreline. Two, along with the rest of the flight control teams, will be on duty through mid-afternoon about the time the crew camera will head to bed on orbit 260 miles above the Earth. The International Space Station is the Space Expedition 41 crew. It's comprised of Commander Max Sarayev and 5 flight engineers, Reed Wiseman on the far left, and European Space Agency astronaut Alexander Gerst. Those 3 are on the left side of the crew's logo. On the right side, seated, is astronaut Barry Butch Wilmore, along with cosmonauts Alexander Samokutyaev and Elena Serova. Samokutyaev is the Soyuz TMA-14M commander, in which those 3 arrived just 13 days ago aboard that Soyuz spacecraft on the evening of September 25th. The other 3 are enjoying their 133rd day aboard the International Space Station, and they plan to return home on the evening of Monday, November 9th. Aboard the International Space Station, the crew woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning and pretty much has an extremely busy day on orbit. They held a daily planning conference with all the flight control teams around the world to get the day started just before 3 a.m. And then they began spreading out across the station in the various modules, preparing for their day's work. Part of that work today included beginning to refurbish the spacesuits that were used during a spacewalk that was conducted on Tuesday by Wiseman and Gerst, and also several of the new crew members were able to have some time set aside for what's known as ISS adaptation and orientation, essentially getting their zero gravity legs, if you will, for their long duration stays in space. Also, in the early part of the crew's day, a reboost of the station's orbit was conducted using the engines on the ATV, or the automated transfer vehicle. That occurred just after 4 a.m. Central. It was an 8-minute, 35-second firing of the thrusters of the Georges Lemaitre automated transfer vehicle, which is docked to the far end of the Russian segment of the International Space Station on the Zvezda service module. The perigee, or low end of the station's orbit, was raised about 2.5 miles, putting the station essentially in the proper orbit for the launch and arrival of the next Russian Progress cargo vehicle, known as Progress 57, scheduled for launch on October 29th on a 4-orbit, single-day launch to docking profile. The reboost left the station in a 261 by 255 statute-mile orbit, so slightly elliptical. During that time frame, shortly thereafter, as a safety precaution, whenever those types of events occur, all of the shutters on the windows of the station are closed to protect those windows from any thruster impingement or plume impingement that may occur. It's really a safety measure, and those shutters remain closed for a fairly long period of time after those types of burns as well. And just so happened that during that time frame was also when the lunar eclipse occurred early Wednesday morning, and while the crew was not able to capture the lunar eclipse from cameras inside the station, the external cameras were able to document the lunar eclipse that occurred starting just after midnight in the 2:00 a.m. Time frame, and extending all the way until just before sunrise on Wednesday. And these are some views from the external cameras of that beautiful lunar eclipse. The next lunar eclipse in the United States is targeted for next April, and there are 2 scheduled actually in 2015, but this is the last one for this year. It's affectionately known as a blood moon, obviously because of the refracted light from the sunrise halfway around the world, basically in the same line as the Earth. That's the Earth's shadow obviously falling across the moon. And these views again from the International Space Station's external cameras. Reed Wiseman and Alexander Gerst have been spending some time basically reconfiguring the airlock, the U.S. airlock Quest from yesterday's or Tuesday's 6-hour, 13-minute spacewalk that they conducted. It was the first for those 2 crew members. Their primary task was to relocate a failed pump module that's been in essentially a temporarily stowed location for a fairly lengthy period of time. They took the opportunity during the first part of the spacewalk to relocate that fairly large piece of equipment into an external onto an external platform on the station. They also worked with some external camera equipment on the station as well. It was the 182nd spacewalk in support of space station assembly and maintenance. They also installed after the pump module was secured, an electrical relay system that designed to help provide some additional power or backup power to the station's mobile transporter and the station's robotic arm known as the Canadarm2. That essentially provides an alternate power source in the unlikely event that the station's high-tech rail system could end up being stranded between two work sites on the outside of the station along the very lengthy truss structure. That mobile transporter can be positioned at various locations along the truss to support spacewalks where the robotic arm is required. Crew members typically obviously with EVAs or extravehicular activities that occur with two crew members, which always is the case. One typically is on the end of a foot restraint, a portable foot restraint that's mounted on the end of the station's robotic arm. The other crew member serves usually as a free-floating astronaut. So these two completed that spacewalk in 6 hours 13 minutes. It was the first for Reed Wiseman, the first for Alex Gerst. The total 6 hours 13 minutes for the spacewalk brings the total EVA time for ISS assembly and maintenance to more than 1,100 hours. That's about 47 and a half days of spacewalking time. It's the first of three planned during the Expedition 41 increment, and the next is already in the planning stages for next week on October 15th. That will be conducted by Wiseman and Barry Wilmore. And then a third EVA later in October on the 22nd is scheduled by Russian cosmonauts Max Surayev and Alex Samokutyaev. Once they got back inside the station, the crew members were able to download some of the photos that they had taken, and here's a great view that Reed Wiseman took and posted to the ground to be placed on his Twitter account, his @astro_Reed. This is, you may not be able to see it that clearly, but be sure to check it out on his Twitter account. Taking a close-up of it, the edge of his mask of his helmet is right here. He basically took an on-orbit selfie. You can see his hands holding the camera that's reflected in the face mask of his EMU, or extravehicular activity, or extra mobility unit, EVA, EMU, and his post, "Guilty pleasure to turn the camera upon thyself during a spacewalk." So he has a very active Twitter account, and so does Alex Gerst, so be sure to check those out on their Twitter pages. In addition to the spacewalk work that they performed on the outside of the station, obviously with some maintenance tasks, there's also a number of experiments that are being carried out external to the space station in addition to all the work inside the station. There are numerous free-flying satellites that orbit the Earth and map our planet for various areas of research. And of course we now have a new payload that's been installed on the International Space Station's external segment to give a different perspective. Lori Meggs is at NASA's Payload Operations Integration Center at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, to tell us more about it. Lori.
RapidScat is an instrument that will be used to measure wind speed and direction of the oceans, and it will begin a new series of mounted satellites on the ISS for weather monitoring. I recently spoke with Stephen Voles. He is NASA's Associate Director for Flight Programs, to find out more about what this new satellite adds to the mix.
But what we're seeing with the launch of RapidScat is the first Earth Science Division, Earth Science-focused measurement that NASA, I think, is invested in, that is built for and adapted to the ISS specifically. It's an active radar system. It sends microwave radiation down, it transmits it down, and if you have a picture, you'll see this. It's a rotating dish. It transmits a pulse down. It's about 100 watts, which is not, it's a light bulb, and then it bounces off the surface of the ocean, that radar. Now, the ocean is rough or smooth depending on how much wind there is above the ocean. So a rough surface gives you a different scattering, and we've done a lot of research over the past 20 years to understand, to measure the scattering of the ocean tells you the amount of wind right above the ocean. That's why it's ocean winds. It doesn't work over the land because obviously the land doesn't scatter, doesn't get reflected. So these are ocean only. But by looking at the reflected signal, and as the antenna just picks up that signal and records it, you can tell the surface roughness of the ocean, and that can be immediately transferred into a measurement of the wind speed, the wind velocity at that spot. So it gives you the wind velocity in every spot you look at.
So what do we learn from this new RapidScat system?
What RapidScat does, and is emblematic of what the ISS does in general, it provides some of the same measurements that we have from QuickScat, which is another scatterometer, but it actually does it from using the ISS as a platform. It does it in a different way, which is quite unique and actually very complementary to the free-flying satellites. What RapidScat does, it has a rotating antenna which measures vector winds, ocean winds, over a fairly wide swath, several hundred kilometers, but it gives us a rapid repeat and a high visibility of those areas, the tropics regions, where we have the most tropical storms. What it also has is it was built with the same hardware that was used for QuickScat, or QuickScatterometer, which was launched in '99. It has the same accuracy, the same spectral resolution, the same measurement technique, which was used then, so that data record that was started in 1999 is picked up by RapidScat, ISS RapidScat, and then can be continued forward. And it's one of the key features of Earth system science is we're looking for decadal science. We're looking at things that vary very minutely over decades. So to do that, to understand that, you have to have a constant and consistent data record. RapidScat will anchor the 11 or the 14-year record from QuickScat and carry that forward into the next, to the next satellites and be cross-calibrating then with ASCAT. Now what ISS does, which is really kind of cool and useful for us as a tool in the measurement, is it's in what we call a precessing orbit, which means it doesn't cross the same spot on the Earth at the same time of day. It varies as the day rolls by, so sometimes it'll cross over Kennedy Space Center here at 6 a.m., sometimes noon, 1 p.m., etc., every hour of the day over a period of time. Winds are highly variable, and sometimes they vary on a day-to-day basis, hour-to-hour basis, and by viewing the winds globally at various times of the day, you get to see what's called the diurnal cycle, a diurnal variability. Now you'll notice here it's windy in the morning, but it's calm at noon, and then it's windy in the evening. If you only take measurements at noon, you think it's always calm, there's never any wind, no persistent winds. By doing it in multiple times, which is what ISS enables, you get to see that variability over the day, and that strongly complements the single crossing time measurements that we have from our polar satellites.
So what do we use this information for? When we get the data, what is it used for?
There's a weather application, and there's climate application. The weather application is the output from QuickSCAT and from RapidSCAT in the future goes directly into improving the numerical weather models that NOAA uses, that EUMETSAT uses to understand the intensity of hurricanes, for example, when they occur, or just weather in general. So there are inputs that we've been providing to the weather services for the last decade with our scatterometers, which this will continue and add to. So that's the weather purpose, which is very, very important and improves the value of our predictions. From a climate point of view, what it does is allows the variability, the diurnal variability, allows us to look at a different aspect of weather, of wind variability over a day that we don't have with our existing orbiting satellites. So that's going to open up new avenues of investigation and understanding of how the wind cycles change in particular spots on a daily or hourly basis. And it's a whole area of research that we have spot data from airborne science, etc., but from a satellite perspective, we don't have a good, consistent data record to start looking at. I think it'll open up new research areas.
And RapidSCAT engineers tell me this morning that the data is coming down looking great and they're still undergoing calibration, but a successful start to a payload that should be on the space station for at least 2 years. Taking a live look into the Payload Operations Integration Center right now, we have TJ Creamer, the Payload Operations Director, leading the team here today, and he knows a little thing or two about being on space station and running those experiments himself as an astronaut. And also the PACOM, I want to point out J.P. Wilson. He just certified this week to become a PACOM, and that is the payload communicator who speaks with the astronauts and helps them with all of the experiments that they are participating in on orbit. And that will do it for us from the Payload Operations Integration Center at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Now back to you at Mission Control in Houston.
Well, thanks a lot, Lori. That's interesting. And of course, RapidSCAT is that new instrument that's on the outside of the station. Every once in a while, we get a view from one of the external cameras showing that instrument feverishly orbiting around its own pedestal, gathering data. In fact, just recently and not too long after it was placed on the outside of the European Space Agency's Columbus module, probably about 2 weeks or so after launch and installation on the station, RapidSCAT sent down a view of a wind field that's around a tropical storm known as Simon that's off the Baja coast. You can see the gray areas are the land masses. There's Mexico. This up here is the edge of the Baja Peninsula, and what you're seeing here are the wind speeds that were detected by that instrument on the outside of this station. The map is an uncalibrated measurement of wind speed and was taken back on October 3rd. The tropical typhoon or storm Simon off the Baja Peninsular coast is actually now a post-tropical storm as of October 7th, with most of the significant impact that's expected to be well inland and several days out from now, but the wind speeds that it indicates by color, showing obviously the most severe wind speeds at the center part in the 30 to 50 mile per hour range. But again, this is just one image that's already been sent down and being able to be utilized by weather forecasters from this instrument that's on the outside of the station, and the instrument that you just heard Lori and Stephen Volz talking about, RapidSCAT. Additionally, there's another fairly significant typhoon out there known as Vong Fong that actually is listed right now as the 4th Category 5 storm of the year. It's actually the second that's been recorded in the Western Pacific. This is fairly significantly expected to be a threat right now to Japan. It's actually made a turn to the north earlier Wednesday. It's expected right now to hit Japan on Sunday or Monday, but this is a view from the International Space Station, 260 miles up, just a little bit earlier this morning, from the external cameras on the International Space Station of Typhoon Vongfang out over the western Pacific, headed toward Japan right now. The latest numbers show a large 25-mile diameter eye moving about 5 to 10 knots or so. And those views from the external cameras of the station, again, of Typhoon Vongfang. It's actually expected to move into a little bit cooler waters by Friday, headed into the weekend as it approaches the coast of Japan. And obviously that the hope is that that will weaken that storm somewhat before landfall. Earth observation obviously is one of the big items that the crew enjoys taking part in, obviously, but it's also definitely got some usefulness, and obviously the crew has sent some messages periodically. This is another interesting view of the Persian Gulf region. This is a panorama taken by astronauts actually from the Expedition 40 crew back in August, showing the Persian Gulf and the tan-colored dust of a major dust storm that's obscuring the Gulf and its northern shoreline. Some of the strong northern winds that blow in the summer in the Persian Gulf region churn up dust from the entire length of the desert surfaces of the Tigris and Euphrates valleys that are evident in the views. The dust partly obscures hundreds of kilometers of the Iraqi light green agricultural lands along those rivers. The Caspian Sea cuts the horizon in the upper image, and a line of thunderstorms that is actually being set off by the Zagros Mountains of Iran. The setting sun in this view casts some fairly long shadows from some of those thunderheads, and the astronauts, since they see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day from this orbital vantage point, can actually capture dusk in a darkening Iranian landscape in this particular view. Earth observation, all these images are posted on their website, which is readily available available out there at http://eol.jsc.nasa.gov. You see that website there on your screen.
PCS on that UOP has.
So the crew will wrap up its day about 4:30 this afternoon, heading to bed, and then pick up again tomorrow morning. And of course, we'll be back again on Thursday with another edition of Space Station Live at the usual time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern. And until then, watch for video file at the top of the next hour, and we'll see you back here on Thursday. This is Mission Control Houston.
There are 500 workers in that area. You know, that's the role of government right now, to make sure that they can do whatever it takes to get those people back to work.
Now we want to go back to some questions that we had discussed earlier, and that's the Let's Connect Citizens platform. So what issues will you be discussing at the forums that you're going to be attending?
Well, the forums that we announced today will be on issues affecting seniors in the province and the economy, and this is really an extension of a lot of the work that we've been doing as MHAs and staff at the official opposition over the last number of months and weeks, and indeed, you know, for the last 3 years. So Kathy Bennett as the MHA responsible for finance, and Andrew Parsons, our MHA responsible for seniors issues, will be, you know, they were going into a number of locations across the province. We announced, you know, 10 meetings today, but added to that, we will have MHAs in the districts where we have Liberal MHAs right now, and they will be also doing a series of meetings in their own districts as well. So all of this information will, with this information, you will see, you know, the news, the issues that gets discussed will come back to the official opposition. Indeed, they will make it to the floor of the House of Assembly. This is a way to get, you know, public engagement and, you know, their voice be heard on the floor of the House of Assembly.
Now, you've been criticized by the government for not putting forward ideas of your own to deal with these problems. So when will we see a platform from the Liberal Party?
Well, what we are formulating, of course, this is about the official opposition and the role we play, in the House of Assembly. But added to that, we have the Liberal Party of Newfoundland and Labrador. But they're doing a lot of work aside from this on creating a policy platform that will be around an election. So right now, it's the Premier that will call the election. We will be ready, and it is an election platform, and that we will be formulating some great policies for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, and we will run an election on that.
Mr. Ball, I thank you so much for coming in this evening.
Thank you, Tony Marie.
There is good news this evening for the family of an 11-year-old stabbing victim from CBS. The boy is out of hospital and at home, much to the joy of many people following that tragic story. According to CBS Soccer Association President Calvin Randall, the boy is doing well, smiling and bouncing back from this attack. He was stabbed in the neck a few weeks ago while at a soccer clinic at the CBS soccer pitch in Topsail. His 19-year-old accused attacker was in court last Friday, but has since been held for a further 30-day psychiatric assessment before he reappears before the courts. And now we go to central Newfoundland, where the town of Grand Falls, Windsor, and the promoter of this year's Salmon Festival are sharing a loss of about $1 million.
The numbers are in for this year's Salmon Festival, and it looks like the taxpayers of Grand Falls, Windsor are out nearly $500,000.
But I do have to say that it is for the town of Grand Falls, Windsor, and the promoter a long-range look that we're looking at. We're not looking at 1 year, because you could say on 1 year, yeah, there was significant loss for us, and the target attendance was very low. But we've had 3 other great years where attendance targets have been met, and everybody made money. So when you look at the $473,000 loss for the town this year versus the $225,000 that we've earned over the past 3 years, we're hopeful that we can recover that over the next 2 years because we still are set on targeting world-class entertainment and attracting them to the Salmon Festival. And we think there's a demand for it in Newfoundland, and the promoter believes that there is a demand, and which is why we chose to proceed last year, knowing that our sales in advance were soft. And but it's important for, the festival is a point of pride for our community, and whether we're attracting world-class entertainment or not, the council is committed to delivering a festival.
I'll have the full story coming up tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour at 6.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Mary's Diner, classic diner fare and local favorites.
And it's time now for a look at the weather forecast, and for that we are joined by NTV's chief meteorologist, Eddie Shear. Eddie, not a bad start to the day. Many parts of the province saw a bit of sunshine, some rain heading our way though.
Yeah, Tony Marie, that certainly does appear to be the case, as a relatively large area of low pressure will affect weather all across the province, beginning, well, now and continuing through almost tomorrow night and into Friday morning. And this low will actually eventually bring a cold front through many areas. Now it will bring some cooler temperatures as we go into Friday and Saturday compared to what we have seen the past couple of days. Now, getting a look at the NTV sky cams. These images taken around 4:30. Grand Falls, Windsor, not looking too bad. Clouds will thicken and lower over the next couple hours, and showers will arrive overnight. As we look up into St. John's, the harbor, you can see almost flat, calm, very little wind today. Certainly has been decent that way the last couple of days, and we can see that cruise ship in the harbor. Since this was recorded around 4:30, that cruise ship actually did leave, passing out through the Narrows and on to its next destination. Getting a look at some of the other road cams and web cams from around the province, we will see driving conditions are pretty good, but again, skies are for the most part overcast after what was a really, really nice start to our day. Grand Falls, Windsor, maybe even some breaks of sun still trying to shine on through the clouds there. Springdale still looking sunny. That will not last that much longer. Port aux Basques looking cloudy. Same thing in Lanzaloo and into Flowers Cove. And the reason it's cloudy, again, we are seeing an area of low pressure slowly working its way toward western Labrador. Out ahead of it, we're seeing the clouds thickening up and the showers not too far away. And these showers will spread across the island and the Big Land over the next few hours and stick with us for at least the next 24 to perhaps even 36 hours in some spots, perhaps even some flurries in Labrador as we go into Thursday night and Friday. As far as temperatures go right now, again, still fairly uniform out ahead of our low. 12 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 15 degrees in Cartwright, 15 in Gander right now. St. John's currently at 11 degrees, was a bit warmer earlier in the day. Wider picture, the satellite and radar showing this big old swirl here getting into Quebec and western or eastern Ontario, I should say. We can actually see the swirl right there. This is our big area of low pressure, and this is slinging a whole lot of rain up the eastern seaboard of the U.S. and now pushing into the maritime provinces, and all this moisture will work across the island and Labrador over the next, again, 24 hours. Now, that being said, a lot of the rain will actually kind of weaken as it works through Newfoundland. Labrador, a little bit of a different story. So here's Futurecast. Will take us through tonight, showing just some lighter showers, even some lighter rain spreading across the island. Looks like Labrador will see showers developing over the next couple hours. That will transition over to a steadier rain as we get into the early morning hours of our Thursday. Notice those brighter colors into the Churchill Falls area and across Newfoundland as we start off tomorrow morning. Again, just some showers, specifically as we get south of Gander on the line from Gander to Corner Brook, south and east of there. Looks like that's where the biggest shower activity will be tonight. And then possibly a bit of light rain for the eastern and southeastern sides of the island tomorrow, while Labrador will see the rain continuing through a good chunk of the day as it slowly works toward the coast. And actually what will happen is a cold front will work through Labrador during the day tomorrow, and Labrador West will see the air cooling down very quickly, so we might even get some snowflakes to be flying by 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night into western Labrador, maybe even a couple of centimeters in some spots as we start off Friday. But basically the setup is big area low pressure works in, and that will sling a cold front across the province tomorrow and Friday. And ahead of it, we see very mild conditions for the eastern side of Newfoundland tomorrow. So on the Avalon, Bonavista, Vista, Burin Peninsula, and areas near, it may actually feel quite muggy for a time tomorrow afternoon before that cold front works on through tomorrow night. So how much rain are we talking about? Well, this is the RGEM models forecast through Friday morning. Notice across Newfoundland, generally blue or darker green colors, which is anywhere from 2 to as much as 10 millimeters of rain. Looks like some higher amounts right in the vicinity of the Avalon Peninsula and along the south coast, perhaps up to 20 millimeters in some isolated spots, but not expecting a whole lot of rain this go around. Into Labrador, very little rain expected on the coast. As you go farther west, that's where some higher rainfall amounts are going to be, generally in the 10 to 20 millimeter range. But notice that orange color there near Labrador City and Wabush, that's up to 30 millimeters of rain. And again, we may even see a couple centimeters of snow by Friday morning into western Labrador as cooler air works in behind the low. Now, as far as tomorrow goes, in and around St. John's, temperatures topping out in the lower teens, feeling a bit humid. Temperatures around 15 or 16 degrees, maybe even 17 in the afternoon before falling back to 14 tomorrow night. Winds also getting gusty compared to the last couple of days, up to 50 kilometers per hour at times tomorrow afternoon. Getting a look at the forecast for tonight. Temperatures will really not fall a whole lot as skies cloud over and the showers arrive. Temperatures right around 10 degrees. And then for tomorrow, temperatures topping out to the teens. Southerly winds 30 to 60 kilometers per hour. Higher wind speeds right along coastal areas. And heavier rain along the Burin Peninsula and southern parts of the Avalon. Central western Newfoundland tonight, looking at some showers. I think it stays dry on the northern peninsula. And then for tomorrow, looking at widespread showers. A few millimeters of rain certainly possible. If we do get some steady rain to push on shore, temperatures topping out right around 14, 15 degrees, a little cooler as we head farther north. Into Labrador tonight, temperatures right around 6 or 7 degrees with the showers working their way in from west to east. And then for tomorrow, temperatures topping out around 10 or 11 degrees throughout much of Labrador, with the rain becoming heavy and steady at times for central and western Labrador. And notice in Labrador City, I have this down arrow next to the high because that high will occur in the morning. Temperatures will fall to 3 or 4 degrees by tomorrow evening. I've got your extended forecast, which includes a look at Thanksgiving, coming up just after 6 o'clock on the award-winning NTV Evening News Hour. 20 Marie, and as of now, the weekend, at least on the eastern side of the island, looks half decent.
Well, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Eddie. It's time for a break on NTV News First Edition, but still ahead in tonight's news, we'll have the fuel price predictions coming up in the Energy Update. The first person to be diagnosed with Ebola in the United States has died. And it might be the shortest strike Bell Island has ever seen. We'll have that story for you next.
Les Gros et Motti, fresh, authentic European cuisine in the heart of St. John's. Les Gros et Motti.
The best parts of life happen at home. Cohen's makes your home happen. Cohen's has the fall deals you'll love, like $430 in savings on a beautiful 8-piece living room bundle. Sleep in style with $500 in savings on a classic 7-piece queen bedroom set. And take charge with big savings on a Cabrio laundry pair. Plus receive a $100 take charge rebate on a Cabrio Energy Star clothes washer. Your space, your style. Cohen's, where the home is.
Today, across our province, we have a critical shortage of foster homes.
Homes like yours. Safe, warm, and caring. Homes where I can play, learn, and grow. Where we can stay together for a week, a month, or longer, and feel protected and secure.
Please, open your heart and your home. Foster a future. Foster a child today.
It's Energy Efficiency Week. I'll be joined by an energy expert from Take Charge to bring you tips that will help save you energy and money. Tune in to the NTV Evening News every night during Take Charge Energy Efficiency Week for new ways to save every day of the week.
When you're facing financial difficulties, it's reassuring to know there's someone who understands and can help. Deloitte will take you through the options, then guide you through the process every step of the way. Talking to Deloitte doesn't just put your finances in order, it puts your life in order. Take back your life with Debt Solutions by Deloitte.
Weight Watchers. It's not a diet. It's everything you need to learn to lose weight, keep it off, and begin enjoying a healthier way of life. Join for free today. Hurry, offer ends October 18th. Weight Watchers.
Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. A number of outside workers on Bell Island were off the job today. This after a heated council meeting, a ripped-up offer, and a picket line being set up at 7:30 this morning. But it was probably the quickest strike the area has ever experienced, with a deal being achieved and signed at 2:30 this afternoon. It all came down to essential services. Last night, talks fell apart at a council meeting between outside workers and the town. 8 outside workers walked off a job at 7:30 this morning, but this afternoon, after the two sides met again, the deal was struck, meaning a signing bonus for all 8 workers and a bonus of 4.5% over 4 years, and essential services will be granted. Mayor Gary Gazine today admitted it was a huge relief and a happy day for both sides. The lawyer for the group behind the ads calling for Premier Paul Davis to be disqualified as PC leader is firing back today at accusations of defamation. Graham Watton represents Humber Valley Resort, which is currently suing the provincial government. A full-page ad in the Weekend Telegram outlined an appeal to the PC party alleging that Davis violated the RNC Act while running for the leadership. Yesterday, Premier Davis called the ad defamatory and said he is leaving his options open for legal action. Well, today, Graham Watton issued a statement arguing that the ad was not defamatory. He maintains the content of the ad was correct and true. Watton argues that the RNC Association violated the RNC Act by donating $5,000 to Davis's leadership campaign. When asked about the issue this morning, Premier Davis once again said the ad was defamatory.
Fair to say that I've got to deal with this. This is unacceptable in our society. Just to publish defamatory comments against a person's own character and then personally, we can't accept that in today's society. I expect to be criticized. I expect to be questioned for policies and decisions that I make as a premier and as a member of the House of Assembly. That's part of our process, is to question why we make decisions and how we govern. But to attack me personally is a very different step. It's a very different approach, and it's something we have to give serious consideration to. I think it's a sad commentary if that's what we're going to come to.
Memorial University has officially named the new residence complex on its St. John's campus. The new 500-bed facility has been named McPherson College, while the two wings have been named Cluett Hall and Shywalk Hall. The names were chosen to commemorate the efforts of 3 Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who served in the First World War. Dr. Clooney McPherson invented the gas mask that was used by British and Newfoundland troops. Francis Cluett served with the Voluntary Aid Unit, and John Shywalk was an Inuit hunter who became one of the best snipers in the British forces. Well, the city is looking at helping to fund repairs to a monument on Black Marsh Road that has been damaged by vandals. The monument at the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 1 on Black Marsh Road in St. John's celebrates Alcock and Brown's transatlantic flight, but recently it's been damaged.
It looks as if somebody took a sledgehammer to the corners of it, and they're struggling. They're doing their very best. They're run by an organization of volunteers. Many of them are, up in age, and they had mentioned that in the past it has come before some members of council, and really nothing has been done about it. And so, I committed to them that I would do whatever I could to assist, either through soliciting organizations to help come forward to offset the costs. It may be in excess of around $5,000. And we're going to...
The city is looking at helping with the costs of repairs. The ward councillor also suggests that lighting be installed in the area to lessen the chances of any more damage being done. Turning now to international news, U.S. officials now concede that the Syrian border town of Kobani will fall to the Sunni militants eventually. That's despite the backing of coalition airstrikes on ISIS targets inside that city. If the besieged town is captured by militants, the insurgents will control a 100-kilometer stretch of land from Raqqa to the Turkish border. The first patient diagnosed with Ebola in the United States has died. Thomas Eric Duncan, a native of Liberia, died at a Dallas hospital Wednesday morning. Duncan had been in Texas visiting family for about 4 days before he started having symptoms. Doctors initially treated his flu-like sickness with medication, and he was released. Well, days later, he was readmitted to Dallas Presbyterian Hospital and never recovered. Family members say Thomas Duncan was 42. While a Spanish nurse is being treated for Ebola in Madrid, crowds gathered today to protest plans to euthanize her dog. Spanish health authorities told CNN that they plan to put the dog down over concerns that he could have the Ebola virus. An online petition to save the dog named Excalibur got more than 300 signatures. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, studies have shown that dogs can carry the virus without showing symptoms, but there have been no human infections so far linked to dogs. And this now is a live shot from right inside Portugal Cove. Just a beautiful, beautiful scene this evening. It's 11 degrees right now in the capital region and in Portugal Cove. When we come back on NTV News First Edition, we're going to find out what gas prices and fuel prices may turn out to be after midnight tonight. Your energy update is next.
This fall, try one of Chef Maurizio's delicious new features, like chicken marsala, lobster and shrimp fettuccine, creamy chicken pesto, or a daily fresh seafood dish.
Hi, how are you? Good, thanks. I'm here with my phone booth today downtown talking to people about insurance. So do you have a few minutes to talk to me?
Yes, I do.
So what if I told you that you could step in this phone booth right now and I could give you a direct line to Anthony Insurance and we could find out if we could save you some money?
Sure. Hey, that was great.
It was easy, right?
It was easy, fast, and I saved over $400. Just like that.
When you're facing financial difficulties, it's reassuring to know there's someone who understands and can help. Deloitte will take you through the options, then guide you through the process every step of the way. Talking to Deloitte doesn't just put your finances in order, it puts your life in order. Take back your life with Debt Solutions by Deloitte.
For a limited time, enjoy a party pizza with cheese and 3 toppings for $17.99. Torbay Road location only.
310-3030, Greco, 310-3030. This is what it feels like.
Experience the difference with our family collection resorts exclusively from sunwing.ca.
Smith's Furniture and Appliances has more of what you're looking for. Your dollar goes further at Smith's. More value, more service, more selection.
Safety is our core priority. We work on it every day.
The industry is so active right now. There's so much opportunity. There's so much activity.
We are certainly prepared. With safety at the forefront every day, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are building an industry for the future.
If we win, we share, okay? $100?
Nice.
Lunch is on me, guys.
Hey, fries. Who's still hungry? Jim? You win anything? Nope.
Enjoy your McDonald's favorites and you just might win. Monopoly's back with over 18 million prizes available to be won during the game, like cash, gift cards, and beaches, resorts, vacations.
Oh my God. Hey guys. Hey Jim. Is that a 10? Nope.
It's time to think winter tires and Cabot Ford Lincoln for the big names like Goodyear, Uniroyal, and Michelin. Receive a 4-wheel alignment for just $49.95 with your purchase. Our service is fast and all vehicles welcome. Cabot Ford Lincoln, service you deserve.
First Edition Energy Update. Brought to you by Dodge City Royal Garage. Celebrating 90 years of serving the motoring public. Dodge City Royal Garage, 709 Topsail Road. Or visit online, royalgarage.com.
Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. Time now for the energy update. The Consumer Group for Fair Gas Prices has released its predictions for what will happen to fuel prices tomorrow. With crude oil prices in decline, the cost of gasoline expected to drop by 5.2 cents a liter tomorrow. Heating and stove oils will show a drop of 1.3 cents per liter, while diesel is expected to go down by 1.8 cents a liter. George Murphy of the Consumer Group says there will be considerable downward pressure on fuel prices for the next couple of weeks, especially for gasoline. Brent crude oil has been trading around $92 a barrel in recent weeks.
First Edition, across the province. Brought to you by the Governor.
Welcome to the Governor, in the heart of St. Charles. Dine with us and inspire your appetite. Visit thegovernor.ca or find us on Facebook today.
The moose population reduction programs in 2 of the province's national parks have entered their last of 4 years. The 4-year program began in 2011 as part of a border initiative to improve forest health within the Gros Morne and Terra Nova national parks. Ecosystem monitoring activities found that heavy browsing by moose was impairing the cycle of forest regeneration in Gros Morne and in Terra Nova Park. Research has shown that years of heavy browsing by moose significantly damaging forest vegetation, halting the growth of new trees, and reducing the diversity of plants throughout the park. The final year of the program started in September in Gros Morne and is set to resume on October 14th in Terra Nova National Park. Visitors planning a trip to either of the parks during the moose population reduction program are encouraged to review the maps and safety information available on the Parks Canada Forest Health website, which is www.pc.gc.ca/foresthealth. And if you have something interesting happening in your neck of the woods, tell us about it. Email the information to across the province at ntv.ca and along with some photos and video if you have it with all the information, and we'll certainly try to put it on for you. That is NTV News First Edition for this Wednesday. I'm Tony Marie Wiseman. Thank you so much for joining us. The NTV Evening News Hour starts right now.
Tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour, the young stabbing victim in CBS has been released from hospital. St. John's lawyer Avril Baker will not have to testify at the Philip Pinn murder trial. Falling oil prices. What do they mean for provincial coffers? Municipal workers on Bell Island have a new deal. Jody Cook will report live. And the new residence complex at Memorial University now has a name. Michael Connors will have the story.
The award-winning NTV Evening News Hour with Lynn Burry, Glenn Carter, Tony Marie Wiseman, and meteorologist Eddie Shear.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Also in the broadcast, coming right up with details and some bad news in Wabush today. We'll have a full story in just a moment.
And first of all, Eddie Shear is going to tell us what we can expect in the forecast.
Yes, thank you very much, Lynn and Glenn. The nice stretch of weather that we've had over the past couple of days will come to an end tonight. Lots of showers tomorrow, followed by some cooler temperatures for Friday. What about the weekend? Details in just a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Eddie. The town of Wabush was at the receiving end of some very bad news today. Talks for the sale of Wabush mines have broken down, dashing hopes for hundreds of laid-off workers who were looking forward to new ownership which has been at the mine, which has been shut down since last February. There's no word tonight on why the talks broke down between potential buyer MFC Industrial and the mine's owner Cliffs Natural Resources. The head of the Steelworkers Union at the idled mine says all hope is not lost, but it is a body slam for more than 400 workers who have
Hi everyone, I'm Jack Hanna, here at my base camp, Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. Welcome to Animal Adventures. In the lower 48 states, cougars roam the wilderness with an instinct to survive. In Alaska, during late summer and early fall, brown bears are also consumed with the same instinct. In preparation for months of hibernation ahead, brown bears do their best to put on as much weight as possible. If you're a bear, there's no better place to fatten up for the winter than the rivers and streams of Alaska. The main course, salmon. I've never seen so many brown bears have been that close. So off we go, 200 miles west of Anchorage to the Katmai Peninsula and Kulik River. This wasn't my first visit to Katmai Preserve. And even though a stay at Kulik Lodge means a flight in a mighty small plane, the pristine beauty of the park's 4 million acre wilderness was a sight for sore eyes. As we taxied in, I had a feeling I'd soon be renewing old friendships. And when I spotted my old fishing buddy, Jeff Bender, I knew I was right.
Hey, Jeff! Jack, how you been? Pretty good. Good to see you. Fishing's great. Fishing's great.
Thanks to my last trip here, I'm well acquainted with the world-class fishing at Kulik.
Keep talking to him. Yeah, I think it's well there. Nice tight line on it, Jack. You're doing great. Oh, my God, he's so hot. That's a look at him run. Look at him run. He's running.
I guess some might say a little too well acquainted.
Okay, goodbye, fishing. Okay. That's one for the memory books, Jack. Yeah. See any bears? Oh, there's plenty of bears. Some of them been wandering right around camp. In camp? In camp. Well, I can't wait. Go see them, buddy. All right.
Heading up the path, I ran into another old friend.
Sean, how you doing? Real good. How about yourself, Jack?
Sean Peterson was my guide last year for the Alaskan brown bear's annual feeding frenzy at Brooks Falls. Trouble was, the salmon were barely running, so the bears were few and far between. This year, though, the salmon's desperate journey has brought them to Kulik River by the thousands, a tempting buffet for a whole brigade of ravenous bears.
How's fishing? Fishing's good. What about you bears around? Lots of bears. Lots of bears. Might even see a few running around camp here. You never know. No. Right on this trail? Mm-hmm. Right on this trail. All right, I hope. See you later.
I decided to take a walk and see for myself.